Welcome into another episode of Profits Picks. We had a good day yesterday. Props did well, plays did well. Let's try to keep it going here today. We'll take a look at. We have two games. We'll take a look at both games, side and total on each, and we'll also take a look at player props and series. Uh, if we like any series bets on any of these guys here. First game we're gonna go with Boston Celtics taking on the Toronto Raptors. Opening Raptors -1. Currently seeing 1.5. Total opening 216, and we're seeing now 218.5. I'm not so sure that I agree with that move on the total. Uh, Toronto, if they're gonna win this game, they're gonna have to play a lot better defense than they did in the last out. I don't think Toronto shoots as poorly as they did in the last game. They shot 25% from three, but I do also think the defense will be better. And Boston, I think they made what 17 3 pointers. They're not usually shooting three that many times or that well. Um, I think the Raptors make some adjustments and tighten up on that 3 point line. So I think this one will be more defensive battle because if the Raptors cannot really necessarily win, in my opinion, and just going blow for blow on offense versus Celtics. I think the Celtics star power is a little too much. They have a few guys who can create their own shot and score a little bit easier than for the Raptors. So I'm expecting that defensive intensity from the start. The last game went under. I think we could see another under game type game here. Celtics did have 22 turnovers, but Raptors didn't capitalize. Um, Siakam, I think it was most of it was because Siakam was in foul trouble. But I think they take care of the ball a little bit more in this one. And I like this total to be a little bit lower scoring. And from a side perspective, I mean, Boston has pretty much owned the Raptors. Um, they played two times in the bubble. Boston won by about 40 points. Toronto never led in either one of those games. And this year, this season, there's only been four games that the Raptors lost by 15 points or more. And three of them were versus Celtics. Um, Looking at how they respond, so after they lost by 15 plus points, they're 4-0 against the spread, 4-0 straight up, winning by an average of 10.5 points per game. And I did say Boston has owned them, but Boston beat them one game by 16, and they played the very next game once again, and they beat the Celtics by 16. So I think we see more of that kind of effort and that kind of game tonight. I think the Raptors show up tonight. Also, looking at the Raptors, after they shot less than 30% from three, they're a favorite. The total is less than 230, just meaning like these teams are going to play some kind of defense in this game, or they're expecting them to play some kind of defense. They are 6-0 against the spread, 6-0 straight up, winning by an average of 13.83 points per game. Now the Celtics still without Gordon Hayward. They've been fine. 10-2 against the spread without him versus competition. 55% when teams are greater. I think the thing that may also do the Celtics in. I don't put too much stock into this kind of stuff, but I will pay attention because it does matter. I will mention this really quick. I cannot remember the guy's name. I want to say this may be incorrect. I want to say Billy Donahue. That's just popping in my head, but there was a referee who went on record to say he didn't necessarily say the NBA fixes games, but he said that the NBA appoints officials to games based on how they would want the games to go, and they let the referees know. I think how they want the games to go. Now, with that said, Tony Brothers will be refing this game, and Tony Brothers does not like the Celtics. Celtics last 10 playoff games, they are 2-8 when Tony Brothers refed, and in the Nick Nurse era, Raptors 4-1 straight up with Tony Brothers under the whistle. So I think Raptors get the calls in this game. I think Raptors shoot better in this game. I think the Celtics offense regresses. Nick Nurse, great coach. I expect him to make some adjustments. I think the Raptors come out and take care of business. I think they're embarrassed. Lowry said the total of events was also weighing them down. I think Raptors come here and get a nice victory. So we have Raptors minus the 1.5, and on the total, we'll be going with the under 218.5. And if I have to look at a player prop for this game, I don't necessarily love him as much as I always love every player prop. But if I have to look at one, I'm going to be looking for Siakam. I mean, he was in foul trouble. He didn't really have the opportunity. I want him. I think if Toronto's going to run away with this game or win this game comfortably or have success in this game, I think Siakam is the focal point. I think he needs to have more than 20 points. That is his point total here today. So that's where I will be looking as far as player props. And I will be looking for Toronto to focus in on Tatum and Brown and focus on stopping those guys. They have some length, some good defenders for Toronto. I think that should be the main focus. So I would look also maybe look at a Tatum under points or a Brown under points. Those would be my secondary props for this game. We'll move on. We'll go to Utah Jazz and the Denver Nuggets one last time. Game 7. I'm sorry. Utah Jazz opening as a 1 point favorite. Still seeing. Let me open this up. There's a lot of movement in this game here. We are seeing lines a little bit different all over the place. So some shops we have Utah as the 1 point favorite. Some shops we have Denver as the 1 point favorite, and some shops just a pick 'em. So we'll just call it a pick 'em here in this game. And total opening 220.5, and that has dropped down to 217.5. And I understand the move on the total. Game 7, you expect more intensity on defense, maybe a slower game. I looked up, or my good friend Ralph Michaels, I saw him put a tweet out today. I'm not sure how far back it went, but it was game 7s. They were hitting the under at about a 60% clip. However, I disagree on this one. These two teams have proven that they can score on one another. Offenses have been very, very efficient. Defenses have been nowhere to be found. And both teams have just been trending towards over. Uh, my friend Teddy Cover says, don't try to catch the falling knife and take the under. I mean, I could understand the line move and why everybody likes it to go under, but I just think both teams have shown the way that they want to play, the way they're capable of playing, and I think we probably see that continue more times than not. So I would disagree and lean more towards the over. Um, I want to say the first quarter, the pace has been a lot faster than the rest of the game for these teams. So maybe if you like the over, you want to play the first half. If you like the under, you want to play the second half or maybe the full game. But if you like the over, maybe you want to lock in on that first quarter specifically because they've been playing a lot faster in that first quarter. And from a side perspective, I know a lot of teams don't come back from down 1-3, but this is just not the normal 1-3 series. I mean, nothing in the bubble is normal, but they were down. They won a game. They made it 2-3. Then they were supposed to play after 1 day's rest. They get an extra boost of rest that was much needed because I don't think they had much left in the tank. They get another win. Now, it's much easier to see them coming in and being able to play another game versus back to back to back to back off 1 day's rest. So Jamal Murray needed that boost. I think I trust him more than I trust anybody on Utah. I mean, I know Donovan Mitchell's been great, no downplaying him, but I just think Jamal Murray, he's been he's been the guy, the go-to guy, the guy you want. And also, I do not trust this Utah Jazz team versus competition. Utah Jazz versus 55% win teams or greater. They are 3-11 against the spread their last 14 games, 4-10 straight up. I'm just not trusting them to win versus these better teams. I know they've won a few games already, but if I have to game on the line, I think I've seen more from Denver, and I trust Jamal Murray more than I trust these Jazz. So we'll go with the Nuggets. The best Number you can get on them right now, said them all, was +1. And the total sitting at 217.5. I would still disagree with the line move. I would play that one over. If I'm going to look at a player prop in this game, I will be looking. I will be looking towards. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Jordan Clarkson. His point total is steady around 16 and a half, and I feel like he's gone over every single time. If the Jazz are going to have any chance in this game, they need Mitchell, they need Conley, and they need Clarkson. Clarkson has been consistently doing it. I don't see why he stops here tonight. Nuggets, I mean, they have Gary Harris back in the lineup, but he can only guard one of three people. And he's not 100% anyway. He can't guard Conley, Mitchell, and Clarkson. I think Clarkson finds his way to get 17 points at least. Again, Utah Jazz need him. If they don't, I don't think they have a shot to win this game at all. Mitchell at 33.5, Murray at 31.5. I mean, those can be secondaries. I mean, we've seen these guys duke it out and score what Murray 50 points, 40 something a couple times. Mitchell throughout the first few games he was averaging 39 and a half points per game. I could see it happen here once again, but the safest bet as far as the prop for me would have to go to Clarkson over the 16.5 points. And I did skip on the series, but I talked about the Raptors game. I have to bring this up before we get out of here. If you like the Raptors here, maybe you like the Raptors to win the series. I think you take the Raptors for the series and take the Raptors for the game. Raptors last I saw were plus 170 on the series. I think that's a great price. So that's the way I would go as a series bet over there. I mean, no series bets for this Utah game. It's over after tonight. So that will be all there. And the last thing I'll say, I mean, game sevens, I know that they've been played a certain way, but it's a little bit different now. Maybe you don't have the nerves from all the crowd and the fans. No fans in this one, so take that into consideration. Thank you for rocking with me on another episode of Profits Picks. Best of luck if you tail. Good luck on all of your action, and let's do it again tomorrow.